The galaxy was wide and bright, filled with countless stars, but on the edge of this endless space there was a lonely moon. It was small, quiet, and covered in gray rock. Nothing lived there, nothing grew there, and few ships ever came close. Yet hidden on this barren world was a being older than many empires, a creature spoken of only in whispers and fading tales. Her name was Vera, and she was the last of the star dragons. Long ago, Vera's kind had soared between suns, their bodies glowing with the light of living stars. They were guardians of ancient space routes, their fire guiding ships through storms of radiation and fields of debris. Many travelers had lived because a dragon flew beside them, casting her blazing breath to clear the way. But time wore even the strongest beings down. One by one, the star dragons had fallen. Some were lost in great wars. Some faded as their inner cores dimmed. Others simply vanished into the dark, leaving behind only rumors. Now only Vera remained, her once mighty wings too heavy, her radiant body cracked with age. She lay curled upon the cold stone of the moon, her scales faintly glowing like dying embers. Her breath came slow and shallow, each exhale a shimmer of weak light. The fire inside her heart, once strong enough to light a fleet's path across galaxies, flickered as though it might vanish at any moment. The galaxy knew of her. They knew she was still alive, but instead of helping, the councils of great powers held meetings and debates. To them, Vera was a danger, not a treasure. They remembered the power of star dragons and feared what might happen if she rose again. In the great council chambers of the central world, voices argued. "She is dying," said one alien elder with long silver skin. "We should not waste resources on her." Another with 4 sharp eyes added, "If she is restored, who will control her? Will she not burn worlds if she chooses?" Others nodded. They thought of balance, of politics, of power. None thought of kindness. So the vote was made. They would not send aid. They would not risk their fleets. They would let her die alone on her moon. Across the stars, ordinary people heard the news. Many shrugged. Some were glad the dangerous beast would finally pass. A few mourned, but they were silent, for who could stand against the will of the Great Council? Vera knew none of this. She only felt the cold creeping deeper into her bones. She dreamed of her kind, of flying through burning skies with her brothers and sisters. She dreamed of stars that once sang to her. Now the song was gone. Silence filled her heart. Yet in the silence, there was still a faint spark of hope. Not in her, but somewhere far away, in the most unlikely place. On a small trade station floating near a quiet system, people gathered around a holographic screen. News reports from the council spread quickly, and the screen showed the image of the weak dragon lying on the moon. Most who watched muttered about the danger or scoffed at the idea of saving her. But one man stood quietly in the corner, listening with sharp eyes. His clothes were stained with grease, and his hands bore the marks of tools. He was not a soldier, not a noble, not a scientist of the council. He was a mechanic, a human who fixed ships when no one else wanted the work. His name was Milo. Milo had never seen a star dragon before, but as he looked at the glowing figure on the screen, something stirred in him. He did not see a monster. He did not see a threat. He saw something broken and left behind, something that deserved a chance to live. Around him, voices mocked. "Good riddance," said a trader with heavy scales. "Those beasts caused nothing but trouble." "She is too old," another said. "Even if she lives, she will only bring fire." Milo said nothing. He only thought of all the machines he had fixed. Engines that sputtered, shields that cracked, ships that were left for scrap. Everyone else said they were beyond repair, but with his hands, patience, and care, they flew again. He wondered, as he stared at Vera's faint light, if maybe she was not so different. The council might refuse. The galaxy might turn its back. But he was just one man, and he did not need anyone's permission to try. Far away, on her lonely moon, Vera opened her eyes. They glowed faintly like fading suns. She felt something stir, a faint pull through the darkness, as though a tiny flame had lit somewhere in the endless night. She did not know yet what it meant. But the story of the last star dragon was not over. Milo lived on the edge of things. He was not a famous pilot, not a leader, not a warrior. He was a mechanic who kept small ships flying when everyone else said they were ready for the scrapyard. On the trade station where he worked, people came to him when they had no other choice. He charged little, worked hard, and asked for nothing except enough credits to keep food in his locker and tools in his hands. His workshop was a small corner filled with broken parts, spare wires, and a little bunk where he slept when jobs took too long. Others on the station thought he was strange, a man who cared more for old machines than for company. But Milo did not mind. Fixing things gave him peace. The news of the Star Dragon's decline had shaken the galaxy, but Milo could not forget the image he saw on the screen. That massive creature lying weak on the stone, her scales dim, her breath faint. Everyone else had laughed or shrugged, but Milo had felt something deep inside him. It was the same feeling he always had when he saw a broken ship and urged to make it whole again. One evening, he sat on the floor of his workshop, staring at the old hollow screen. The report repeated again, the council had voted not to help, the Star Dragon would be left to die, and no fleets would be sent to that moon. Milo muttered softly to himself. They see danger. I see life. He touched the metal plate of an old shuttle resting beside him. The ship had belonged to a miner who had abandoned it after a core failure. Milo had been repairing it in his free time. It was small, sturdy, and not much to look at, but it could fly. He wondered if it could fly all the way to that lonely moon. The next day, people noticed Milo loading supplies into the shuttle. A trader with green eyes stopped him. "Where are you going with that wreck?" she asked. Milo answered simply, "To see the dragon." The trader laughed. "You? A human mechanic? The council says she is too dangerous, too broken. What do you think you can do?" "I can try," Milo said. His voice was steady, not proud, not angry. Just steady. Word spread quickly across the station. Some mocked him, calling him foolish. Others thought he was only chasing a story to make himself known. A few whispered that maybe he was braver than the rest, though none admitted it aloud. Before long, a small crowd gathered near the docking bay to watch him leave. The shuttle's engines roared weakly, patched together by Milo's hands. The hull was scratched and worn, but it lifted, steady as a bird. As the ship drifted into the stars, some shook their heads. "He will never return," one alien said. "Perhaps," another answered, "but at least he dared." Inside the cockpit, Milo sat alone, hands on the controls. His eyes were fixed forward. The journey would take days. The shuttle was slow, but he had made sure it was reliable. He brought food, tools, spare energy cells, and all the pieces he could carry. He did not know what the dragon needed, but he would not arrive empty-handed. During the voyage, the galaxy around him seemed endless. He passed through quiet regions where stars glowed faintly and through empty fields of dust. Sometimes he thought of turning back, but the image of the dragon always returned to him. A being so great, left alone to fade, because the powerful were afraid. The thought hardened his resolve. At night, when the ship hummed softly, Milo spoke aloud, as if to someone unseen. If no one else will help you, I will. Even if I fail, you will not be alone. After many long hours, the shuttle approached the barren moon. Milo stared at the gray surface, searching. Then he saw her. Vera lay across a wide plain of stone, her body so large it seemed like a mountain of glowing scales. Her wings spread faintly, cracked and dull, and her tail curved like a river of broken light. She looked both majestic and fragile, like a star on the edge of death. Milo landed his shuttle nearby. The ground shook gently under its weight. He stepped out, the air thin but still breathable with his mask. His boots crunched on the dust as he walked toward her. Each step felt heavy, not with fear, but with awe. When he came close, he stopped. The dragon's head rested on the ground, her eyes closed. For a moment, he thought she was gone. Then her chest rose with a slow breath, and her eye opened, a golden eye that glowed faintly in the darkness. The gaze fell upon him, a single human standing before a dying star dragon. Milo's heart pounded, but he did not run. Her voice came not as sound, but as thought that filled his mind. "Another watcher," she said weakly. "Have you come to see me fade?" Milo swallowed, his hands trembling. "No," he said. "I came to help." The great eye narrowed slightly, glowing with faint light. "Help? None come to help. They fear me. They wish only for my end." "I am not them," Milo said. "I fix what others throw away. I don't know if I can fix you, but I will try." For a long moment, silence stretched between them. The stars above glimmered, the moon lay quiet, and the dragon's breath came slow and shallow. Then, with effort, Vera shifted her head closer. The ground shook under her weight. "You are small," she said, her voice a whisper of fire. "But your heart, it does not tremble." Milo nodded. "Machines are larger than me too, but I still mend them." A faint sound came from the dragon, almost like a soft laugh. "Then try, little one. If your courage is real, perhaps I will live to see one more sunrise." Milo took a deep breath, his resolve set. He stepped forward, ready to begin the work that no empire dared to attempt. And so began the meeting of a dying star dragon and the human outsider who refused to turn away. The moon was silent except for the faint wind that passed across the rocks. Milo stood close to Vera, the last star dragon, his heart heavy but steady. Her golden eye followed him as he laid his small bag of tools on the dusty ground. To anyone else, the sight might have been laughable, a single human mechanic standing before a creature larger than a mountain, promising to help where empires had refused. But in that quiet place, it was no joke. Vera's voice entered his thoughts again, soft and tired. "Why do you try, human? You cannot heal a star dragon. Not with tools made for ships." Milo looked up at her. "Maybe not. But I can listen. I can look. Machines speak to me when they are broken. I think you will too, if I pay attention." The dragon's eye blinked slowly. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she gave a sigh, and her chest glowed faintly, as though fire still lived inside. "You are bold," she whispered. "Perhaps boldness is what I need." Milo stepped closer, carefully touching the side of her massive scale. It was warm, but cracked like old metal. Lines of dim light ran between the scales, pulsing faintly. He felt the rhythm, weak and uneven, like an engine failing to start. "What hurts the most?" he asked softly. Vero lowered her head, her great body trembling. "My core," she said. "The heart of a star lives within me. Long have I carried it, but it is broken. Too many centuries of strain. Too many battles fought. It flickers now, and when it fades, I fade with it." Milo frowned. "A living star inside you, no wonder the council gave up. They don't know how to see past the power. They only think of danger." The dragon gave a weak rumble, almost like agreement. "Yes. They fear. But fear does not mend what is broken." Milo walked slowly around her, studying her body as though she were a ship. He saw the cracks glowing with unstable light, the way her wings sagged, the faint shimmer of heat that escaped from her chest. Every sign pointed to strain in her core, like an engine leaking energy. He pulled a small scanner from his bag, an old tool used for reading ship reactors. The device was simple, but Milo trusted it. He placed it against a glowing line near her chest. The screen flickered with strange readings, more powerful than anything it was designed to measure. Yet Milo saw enough to understand. Energy was leaking out of her core unevenly. Pathways that once carried light smoothly were broken. The fire of her heart was spilling where it should not. Vero watched him. "What do you see?" Milo wiped the dust from the scanner and thought carefully. "Your heart is like an engine that has too many cracks. The energy doesn't flow where it should. It spills out and weakens you. If I could seal the cracks and guide the flow, maybe it would hold again." The dragon tilted her head. "You speak of me as if I were a machine." Milo looked up, meeting her gaze. "Not a machine. Something greater. But even the greatest things can be broken. And sometimes, simple hands can help." For the first time, Vera's eye softened. She had heard many voices in her long life: scientists who wanted to study her, soldiers who wanted to kill her, leaders who wanted to use her. But this human spoke differently. He spoke as though she was alive, not a tool. "Try, then," she whispered. "If you fail, I will at least remember that one did not fear me." Milo nodded. He opened his bag wider and pulled out pieces of old ships he had collected: metal plates, heat-resistant gels, wiring, small energy tubes. None of them were meant for a dragon, but Milo had learned long ago that tools did not matter as much as the will to use them. He began with the nearest crack. Carefully, he pressed the scanner again, reading the flow of energy. It was hot, unstable, dangerous. A wrong move could scorch him to ash. But Milo did not flinch. He applied a layer of sealing gel, then added a thin plate of metal to guide the energy back inward. It was a small patch, but when he stepped back, the glow in that line grew steadier. Vera's chest rose with a deeper breath. "Strange," she murmured. "It feels less heavy." Milo gave a faint smile. One crack down. Many more to go. Hours passed as he worked. He moved from one fracture to the next, sealing, guiding, patching. Each repair was small, yet together they began to matter. The dragon's breathing grew less shallow. The faint light in her body flickered more evenly. But the work was not easy. Twice the energy surged, nearly burning his hands. Once his scanner broke from the overload, and he had to guess by feeling the heat with his glove. Sweat poured down his face, his arms shook with exhaustion, but he refused to stop. Through it all, Vera watched. At times she closed her eyes, tired from the strain. At times she whispered memories of her kind, of skies filled with wings of fire. And at times she simply lay silent, feeling the small human mend her broken heart. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, Milo stepped back and dropped to his knees. His hands were blackened from heat, his tools nearly broken. But before him, the dragon's body glowed with steadier light. The cracks still remained, but they no longer spilled so much energy. The flow was stronger, more even. Vera opened her eyes, brighter now than before. "You have done what I thought impossible," she said softly. "I feel lighter. Not whole, not yet. But better." Milo nodded weakly. "It's only the beginning. I can't fix everything in one day. But if you let me, I'll keep working." The dragon lowered her great head until her eye was level with him. Her voice carried warmth now, faint but real. "You are unlike the others. You do not see a beast or a weapon. You see me." Milo touched the ground with his hand, steadying himself. "Because you are more than they ever understood. You're alive. That's enough for me." The stars above shimmered, brighter than before. On the barren moon, a bond had formed between the last star dragon and the human who dared to listen. And though the galaxy still turned its back, something new had begun. The moon remained silent as always, yet something on its surface had changed. The faint cracks of light running across Vera's body now pulsed in a steadier rhythm. She still lay weak and wounded, but her breaths were deeper, her golden eye brighter. For the first time in centuries, the last star dragon felt a small spark of hope. Milo sat on a rock nearby, wiping his hands with a cloth blackened from heat and dust. His tools lay scattered around him: old scanners, broken wires, plates cut from forgotten ships. None of them were meant for repairing a living star dragon, yet they had done what no alien council dared attempt. Vera studied him with her great eye. "Your hands are small," she said softly, her voice flowing into his thoughts. "But your touch is steady. You treat me as you would a wounded ship." Milo smiled faintly, though his face was lined with exhaustion. "A ship is more than metal. It carries lives. I learned long ago that if you treat it with care, it will carry you home. You're not a ship, but you are carrying something greater than anyone understands. You deserve the same care." The dragon rumbled low in her chest, not in anger but in something close to laughter. The sound echoed across the plain, a deep vibration that made the dust rise in little clouds. "No one has spoken to me like this," she whispered. "Not since my kin were alive." Milo rose, stretching his sore arms, and walked toward her chest again. The glow beneath her scales flickered unevenly, though far stronger than before. He placed a hand against her side, feeling the warmth. "You're healing, but the work isn't finished. Energy still leaks in places I can't reach without your help." Vera tilted her head, curious. "My help? I am too weak to move as I once did." "You don't need to fight," Milo said gently. "But if you can guide me, if you can open the paths inside you, I might reach deeper. Think of it like opening an engine panel. You'll have to trust me." For a long moment, silence hung between them. Then Vera closed her eyes. Her body glowed brighter, and with effort, she shifted slightly. Plates of scale moved apart, revealing narrow seams of light running deeper into her chest. The energy inside surged, like fire trapped behind a door now slightly open. Milo shielded his face from the heat, his heart racing. One wrong move here could mean death. But he did not step back. He adjusted his gloves, picked up a cooling gel, and began his work. He leaned close, examining the bright seams. They were like cracks in a star reactor, glowing with wild energy. Carefully, he applied the gel to steady the flow, then fitted thin sheets of metal to redirect the current inward. His movements were slow, precise, each one guided by years of repairing fragile engines. Vera felt the difference with every touch. Where before her heart had burned wildly, now it began to flow more evenly. The pain lessened, and for the first time in centuries, she felt something close to strength returning. "You are not afraid," she whispered. Milo kept his eyes on the work. "Fear doesn't fix things. Patience does." Her great body trembled, but not from weakness this time. She was beginning to believe this small human might succeed where entire civilizations had failed. Hours passed as Milo continued his repairs. He worked until his hands shook, until sweat stung his eyes, until the tools grew hot in his grip. Yet he did not stop. Each patch steadied the dragon's core, each repair gave her a little more strength. When he finally stepped back, he nearly collapsed from exhaustion. His knees hit the stone, and he breathed heavily. Before him, Vera's body glowed with a warm golden light, steadier than before. Her wings twitched faintly, lifting an inch off the ground before falling again. Vera opened her eyes fully. They burned brighter now, twin suns gazing at the small human who had given so much of himself. "I can feel the fire within me again," she said. "It does not roar, but it no longer dies. You have given me more than you know." Milo wiped his forehead, smiling tiredly. "It's not perfect yet. But it's a start." The dragon lowered her massive head, so close that Milo could see his reflection in her golden eye. "You remind me of my kin," she whispered. "When we flew, we cared for one another, mending wings, guiding flames, never leaving one behind. You carry that spirit, though you are human." Milo looked up at her. "Maybe it doesn't matter what I am. Maybe what matters is choosing not to leave something behind." For the first time in centuries, Vera gave a sound that was truly laughter. It rolled like thunder across the moon, deep and warm. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as though joining in her joy. Far away, unseen by Milo and Vera, small probes belonging to the Council recorded every moment. The great leaders of the galaxy watched the impossible happen, a human mechanic mending the heart of a dying star dragon. Many scoffed, insisting it was luck. Others grew uneasy, whispering of danger. A few, though rare, began to wonder if humans were not so small after all. But Milo did not know this. He only knew the work ahead. He gathered his tools, already planning the next repairs. Vera rested, her body glowing faintly with renewed strength. The bond between them grew stronger with every passing hour. Before night fell on the moon, Milo sat once more on the stone, gazing up at the stars. Vera lay beside him, her vast body stretched across the plain. "You could have left me," she said quietly. "I couldn't," Milo answered. "Not when I knew I could try." Her golden eye softened. "Then perhaps, little human, you will be the reason I rise again." The stars shimmered overhead, silent witnesses to a bond that would soon shake the galaxy. The mechanic's touch had done more than mend cracks. It had awakened the fire of trust, the kind of fire that could light the skies once more. The stars above the barren moon were quiet, but beyond them the galaxy was far from calm. The great council of worlds had been watching closely through their hidden probes. They had seen the human mechanic, Milo, kneel beside the dying dragon and bring her strength back with nothing but his tools and his will. What they saw filled them with unease. In the council chambers, where leaders from many races gathered, voices rose in argument. "This is dangerous," said a tall figure with silver skin that shimmered under the lights. "The star dragon was weak. We had balance. Now she stirs again, and it is because of a human." A being with 4 dark eyes leaned forward. "If the dragon rises to her old power, who will control her? She could burn fleets, destroy stations, change the balance of all we have built." Others muttered in agreement. Some feared the dragon's strength. Some feared the human who had dared to act against their decision. One voice, softer but firm, spoke differently. "Perhaps we judge too harshly. If a single human can do what our finest minds would not attempt, maybe we should ask ourselves why." But the louder voices drowned it out. Fear ruled the room. In the end, the council made their choice. They would not allow Milo to continue. If the dragon grew strong again, she could not be left free. Orders were sent. Fleets of sleek ships left their docks, heading toward the quiet moon. Their commanders carried a message: stop the human, and if needed, end the dragon once and for all. On the moon, Milo knew nothing of this yet. He sat beside Vera, eating a simple meal from a pack while she rested. Her body glowed faintly, brighter than when he first found her. Her breaths were steady now, though still heavy with age. "You're getting stronger," Milo said between bites. Vera's golden eye opened. "Stronger, yes. But not whole. Your hands give me time, perhaps more than I deserve." Milo shook his head. "Everyone deserves a chance, even when others don't see it." The dragon studied him for a long moment. "Your kind is still young among the stars. Yet you speak with a heart older than many empires." Before Milo could answer, a sound broke the silence. A distant hum filled the thin air, faint at first, then growing louder. Milo stood, his eyes narrowing as he looked up at the sky. Shapes appeared, dark ships cutting across the stars, their engines glowing cold blue. The council's fleets had arrived. Vera lifted her head, her wings twitching weakly. "I know that sound. They come not as friends." Milo's jaw tightened. He ran to his shuttle, powering its small systems just enough to send out a signal. The council ships answered with a sharp transmission. "This is the council fleet. Human mechanic, you are ordered to stop your actions and leave this moon. The creature is not to be saved. Your interference is against council law." Milo's hand hovered over the controls. His voice was calm, though his heart pounded. "I cannot do that. She is alive, and she deserves more than abandonment. If your law says otherwise, then your law is wrong." Static filled the line before the fleet commander answered coldly. "Do not mistake kindness for wisdom, human. The dragon is a danger to all. Leave, or be removed." Milo turned off the signal and stepped out of the shuttle. He looked up at the sky, where the fleet hung like a wall of steel. Then he turned to Vera. "They're afraid of you." Her golden eye burned faintly. "They have always feared us. They feared our fire, our freedom, our strength. That is why they watched as my kin vanished." Milo clenched his fists. "Fear doesn't give them the right to decide who lives or dies." The ships above began to descend, their weapons glowing faintly as warnings. Dust swirled around Milo and Vera. The council's will had come in full force. But Milo did not move aside. He walked closer to Vera, standing at her side. A tiny figure beside a giant, yet he stood as if he were a shield. When the fleet opened their signal again, Milo spoke before they could. His voice carried across the channel, firm and steady. You call yourselves leaders. You call yourselves wise. But all I see is fear. You let something beautiful fade because it was easier than showing courage. If you will not save her, then I will. If you want me to stop, you'll have to strike me down. The fleet was silent for a long moment. The commanders had expected a frightened human, ready to bow and retreat. Instead, they heard defiance, spoken with a calm strength that unsettled them. On the moon, Vera watched the small human stand tall for her. Her heart stirred with something she had not felt in centuries: trust. The fleet commander finally answered. You are a fool. Do you think one human can stand against the council? Milo looked at Vera's great form beside him, her golden eyes watching with quiet fire. He shook his head. Not one human. But one human and one dragon? That changes everything. The commander gave the order. The ships spread into formation, weapons glowing brighter. The council was ready to end what they saw as a threat. But the galaxy was watching. Countless systems received the live feed from the probes. People everywhere saw the image of a human standing unarmed before a dragon, refusing to abandon her. Some mocked. Some whispered in fear. But many more felt a stirring in their hearts. They saw courage where their leaders had shown only caution. On the barren moon, Vera's chest glowed brighter, her core strengthened by the patches Milo had made. She could not yet rise to her full power, but she could protect the one who had protected her. Milo, she said softly in his thoughts, you risk everything for me. He nodded, his eyes never leaving the sky. If no one else will, then I must. The fleet descended lower, dust billowing across the plain. The air trembled with the weight of their engines. Yet Milo did not move. His stance was steady, his will unbroken. In that moment, the galaxy saw not just a mechanic. They saw the spirit of humanity, small, untested, but willing to stand where others would not. And the council realized that their fear of the dragon was now joined by something new. Fear of the human who refused to bow. The battle between caution and courage was about to begin. The council fleet hovered above the barren moon like a wall of steel, their weapons pointed, their engines humming with quiet menace. Milo stood at Vera's side, the small human against the massive dragon, unafraid. Dust swirled around them, the moon's gray surface glowing faintly under the light of her golden scales. Vera stretched her wings slowly, testing the strength in them. They were still weak, cracked, and uneven, but the energy inside her heart, repaired by Milo's careful hands, pulsed steadily now. She could feel life flowing where there had only been weakness. You did this, she whispered, her voice like wind over stone. Your touch, it carries fire. Milo nodded, his eyes focused on the fleet above. We can finish this together. If you trust me, we can stand against them. Vera's great head lowered, bringing her eyes level with him. I trust you, she said. I have not trusted in centuries. But now, I will follow your guidance. The council ships began to move, preparing to fire if Milo refused to retreat. Their commanders had calculated the odds, assuming the dragon was too weak to resist. They did not know the bond that had formed between a human and a star dragon, a bond stronger than any fleet. Milo adjusted his tools and devices, small but effective, preparing to assist Vera in any way he could. He spoke quietly. We will not fight to destroy. We will fight to survive, to protect. Vera's chest pulsed with golden light. Slowly, her body lifted from the ground. Dust spiraled around her as she tested the weight of her wings. Energy flowed through her veins, repaired and steadied by Milo's care. The glow grew brighter with each moment, spreading across her scales like fire awakening in the darkness. The Council fleet opened fire. Bright energy beams cut across the sky, striking the moon's surface and sending clouds of rock flying. Milo ducked behind a rock, shielding himself from the debris. But Vera rose higher, her wings catching the blasts and deflecting them. The light in her heart flared in response to her renewed strength. She roared, a sound that shook the moon and echoed across space. The golden light in her chest exploded outward in a protective wave, forming a barrier of fire that reflected the Council's weapons. Ships were forced back, their engines straining against the force. Milo looked up at her, awe and pride filling him. "You are stronger than they thought," he shouted over the roar. Vera dipped her wings, moving in arcs across the battlefield, deflecting attacks with grace and power. Each motion was careful, precise, guided by the small human who had mended her heart. Where once she might have lashed blindly in anger, now she moved with purpose. The Council did not understand. Their calculations were shattered. They had expected a weak dragon, a foolish human, and victory in moments. Instead, they faced the impossible: a human and a dragon, united in courage, standing against the authority of the galaxy. Milo climbed onto a small ridge to get a better view. He activated a small energy device, feeding power into Vera's body to help her maintain flight. The dragon responded immediately, her wings stretching fully, her golden scales shining brighter than the Council's fleet. "Your fire is reborn," Milo said softly. "You can do this. You can protect yourself and me." Vera roared again, the sound carrying power and warning. She released a surge of energy from her chest, golden light cutting through the Council's beams and forcing their ships to retreat. The light was steady, controlled, and full of strength. It was no longer the erratic pulse of a dying creature. It was the fire of life, guided by compassion and courage. The fleet commander, seeing their attack fail, hesitated. "They cannot be allowed to succeed," he said, but even he felt doubt. A dragon's power returned, paired with the determination of a human mechanic, was not something that could be easily overcome. Vera landed carefully on the moon, dust rising in clouds around her. She lowered her head toward Milo, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You have done more than repair my body," she said. "You have restored my will. My fire will not die, not as long as you stand with me." Milo smiled, exhausted but determined. "We will face whatever comes next together. You are not alone anymore." The Council fleet began to withdraw, confused and wary. They had underestimated the power of trust and courage, the bond between two beings from completely different worlds. Milo watched as the ships disappeared into the stars, knowing that today the Council had learned a lesson: power without heart was weak, and even a single human could change the fate of a dragon. Vera's golden scales shimmered under the starlight, her wings stretching fully as she rose into the sky. Milo stood beside her, feeling the warmth of her light. "You are magnificent," he said, his voice full of awe. The dragon's eyes met his. "And you, small human, are braver than any council leader I have ever known. Together, we are stronger than fear itself." For the first time in centuries, the last star dragon soared across the barren moon and into the stars, her wings carrying fire, hope, and the bond between life and courage. Milo followed beside her in his small shuttle, watching as her light spread across the sky. The galaxy beyond the moon began to whisper. Tales of the human who dared to help a dragon and the dragon who trusted a human traveled faster than light. Some laughed at the idea. Some feared it. But many felt inspiration stir in their hearts. On the moon, in the quiet aftermath, Milo and Vera rested together, their bond stronger than ever. The fire within her had been reborn, steady and bright, guided by the simple courage and hands of a human mechanic. The stars above glimmered, silent witnesses to a truth the galaxy had almost forgotten: kindness and courage, even in the smallest of beings, could ignite power greater than empires. Milo looked up at Vera, her golden light bathing the plain in warmth. "We did it," he said softly. Vera's great head lowered to meet his gaze. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. There is much more to see, much more to protect. The galaxy is wide, and our journey has just begun." And so, under the vast stars, fire was reborn, courage was proven, and the bond between a human and a star dragon became a legend in the making. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky as Vera rose higher into space, her golden scales glowing brighter than any star nearby. Beside her, Milo guided his small shuttle, keeping pace with her massive wings. The barren moon was left far below, a memory of the place where courage and compassion had forged a new bond. Vera turned her great head toward him, her eyes soft yet brilliant. "I have not flown like this in centuries. Your hands gave me life again. Your trust gave me courage. How can I ever repay you?" Milo smiled, leaning back in his small cockpit. "You don't have to repay me. We helped each other. I saved your heart, and you showed me how strong life can be. That is enough." The dragon's wings stretched fully, catching the starlight. "I once guided travelers through storms, through dangers no one could see. Now I realize, I am guided too, by you. A small human has taught an ancient dragon to trust again." For a while, they flew in silence, side by side. Milo watched the curves of her wings and the smooth arcs of light that traced her body. He could feel the energy flowing steadily through her, warm and strong. The repairs he had made, combined with the dragon's own strength, created a harmony that neither council nor empire could have predicted. "Do you ever fear them?" he asked, thinking of the fleets of the council that had come to stop them. Vera's golden eye focused on the distance, calm but alert. "Yes, fear lingers in the galaxy. But fear does not bind me anymore. I fly because I choose to, not because I am hunted or obeying command." "Your courage reminded me of freedom." Milo nodded. "Then we will keep flying. We will show them that life and courage are stronger than fear." The journey ahead was long. Countless stars awaited them, systems both friendly and hostile. But Milo no longer felt small. Beside him, the last star dragon soared, proof that even the youngest of races could challenge destiny. As they traveled, Vera's presence changed how the galaxy saw humanity. Signals from the probes and reports from distant worlds carried stories of the human who dared to help the dragon and of the dragon who trusted a human. In marketplaces, aboard ships, and within councils, whispers spread: humans were not weak or untested. They were brave, compassionate, and capable of deeds no one expected. Vera spoke to Milo quietly as they glided near a cluster of shining nebulae. "I sense hope in you, in your kind. You do not seek power, only to protect and repair. That is rare among the stars." Milo smiled, feeling a warmth not from the engines but from her words. "Maybe that is why we found each other. The galaxy may be vast, but sometimes the right beings meet at the right time." She dipped lower, her wings slicing through cosmic winds. "You will fly with me, not as a passenger, but as a partner. I am no longer alone. And neither are you. Together, we are stronger than any fleet, any council, any fear. The words settled over Milo like a promise. The human had left his small station to follow a dying dragon, but now he soared among stars, his courage witnessed by a living legend. He realized that sometimes being small was not weakness, and helping another being could change more than one life. It could change the course of the galaxy. They passed through quiet fields of comets, their icy trails sparkling like silver threads. Milo studied them, but his attention often returned to Vera. She stretched her wings, her body glowing with steady energy, and he felt a deep connection to her. It was trust, loyalty, and a shared sense of purpose. Vera spoke again, softly, almost to herself. I have seen empires rise and fall, stars die and ignite. Yet the smallest act of kindness has restored what even power could not. You, human, have changed me. And perhaps, through me, you will change the galaxy. Milo looked at her, eyes wide. I never thought I could. But here we are. They flew together for hours, crossing nebulae and asteroid fields. Milo guided his small shuttle through gaps in the rocks, while Vera's wings cleared dangerous debris. Every move was coordinated, almost like they had been partners for years, though they had only just begun. Eventually, they reached the edge of a bright galaxy, its spiral arms stretching in colors Milo had never seen. Vera hovered, her golden light reflecting off the distant stars. This is only the beginning, she said. Countless lives are out there, waiting for guidance, for protection, for hope. We can show them what courage looks like. Milo nodded. Then we will. Not for glory. Not for power. But because it is the right thing to do. Vera dipped her head toward him, a gentle gesture. I will be the wings, you the hands. Together, we will bring light where there is shadow, courage where there is fear, and hope where there is despair. The galaxy watched quietly. No longer would it only see humans as small, untested, or weak. No longer would the last star dragon be left alone. The bond between them became a symbol, whispered across systems, carried on broadcasts, and told as legend. When the galaxy refused to save its dying dragon, a single human mechanic showed up, and together they changed everything. Milo adjusted the small controls in his shuttle and smiled. Where to first? He asked. Vera's wings lifted, golden fire glimmering across her body. Wherever life needs saving, wherever courage is needed. There is no map for this journey. We will create our own path. As they glided into the infinite stars, Milo realized that the world was larger than any council, stronger than any fear, and brighter than any doubt. Together, a human and a star dragon would journey across galaxies, not as master and servant, but as equals, as friends, as a force for hope. And in the endless darkness of space, their fire shone brighter than any star, a living testament to courage, kindness, and the bond that could change the fate of the universe. The legend of Milo and Vera had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever forget it.